And welcome to Be a Voice Radio with your host, your girl, Marcella Blunt. It is so exciting to have you guys on tonight. I am super excited. I pray and hope everyone has had a blessed week. I know I've had a trying week, lost my voice this week, but thanks be to God, it is back, and God is always on time. I have an amazing guest for you all tonight. But before I even introduce this beautiful, talented woman of God, I would like to, I always have to start off with scripture. And what came to me in scripture tonight is Isaiah chapter 40, verse 28 through 31. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary. His understanding no one can fathom. He has strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youth grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. I love that scripture. I love that scripture. And we could go on and on and on into the scripture, but I have to go on and introduce this amazing guest. I've been super excited to have her on for the past 2 weeks, and I'm excited to have her on tonight. I would like to introduce my wonderful guest. Her bio is so long, so I'm just going to break it up because I want to hear more of her, and she can really tell you about who she is. This wonderful woman, Casey Fox, she is a 21-year veteran of the American broadcasting industry, an American media professional, and when it comes to broadcast television, she has literally done it all. Casey is most known for her Lady General franchise, in addition to her keynote speaking, leadership courses, breakout sessions, and advocacy work in domestic violence and young female leaders. In 2014, she was named one of Dallas' most influential women by the Rolling Out magazine. She was also named Woman of Excellence Award, and the first of, she has so much, and I have it all highlighted. She's also the vice president of the NAACP in Dallas, and she served in, Casey also served 9 years in the United States Air Force. Casey is currently seeking graduate credentials at Harvard University as a strategic management, while currently holding a degree in journalism, emergency management, nonprofit management, film, telecommunications, broadcasting, and criminal justice. Wow. I would like to introduce you none other than Miss Casey Fox. Miss Fox, are you on with us tonight?
I am. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be here and speak with you.
I am so excited to have you. Your bio is so amazing. I could have went on and on and on. Let people know who you are. Tell everybody where you're from.
Absolutely. I am originally from Louisiana, North Louisiana, and was born and raised there. Grew up there, went to grade school there, middle school, high school there. Did my undergraduate studies there, split between there and Texas. Relocated to Texas, settled into Dallas, which is a wonderful city, and kind of made this my home. I do a lot of travel, but Dallas is my home. I'm happy to call it my home. It's been really good to me.
That is awesome. Now you work with what is it, NFL players?
Absolutely. The majority of my clients are actually on the NBA side, but I have done some work for NFL players.
Okay.
But the NBA players are my top tier players in the arena of sports.
That is amazing. And how is it working with the players?
I love it. It's very rewarding. It's challenging, and at times it's difficult, but it's very rewarding. I ended up in sports kind of on accident. I've always had an affiliation with sports because I was an athlete myself in my very younger years, ran track and played tennis, but I've always had a love for sports, and I had a good friend that has been an NBA sports agent for many, many years, and he and I were talking one day. He would call me and get advice about some of the guys that he repped in the arena of branding and strategy and media training and media prep and fashion and all of those things. And I would give him this advice. And then one day he just said to me, you're a very valuable asset to professional athletes. And that's something that a lot of agencies are missing, especially in the 21st century. But the players, everything is shifting as far as media and branding and brand image and brand awareness. Back in the day, there was no such thing as social media, so they didn't have all of these platforms. And so we've seen so much crossover with athletes in reference to them. A lot of them are now going into TV and film, and they've got all of these spin-off ventures. And so he thought there was a place for me in the market, and I'm very grateful to say he created that place for me in the market, and that was probably about 5.5 years ago, and it's been on and popping ever since. So I really enjoy it.
Wow, that is amazing. And, what's also amazing, and I always admire anyone that serves in the military, you served 9 years in the Air Force? That is awesome. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely, yes. I love the Air Force. I went into the Air Force. I come from a family of Air Force folks, and I've got uncles and cousins that have served in the Air Force. And so it was always, to be honest with you, when I was in high school, my big grand plan was to go into the Air Force and be a journalist for the Air Force. I've always wanted to be a writer. I've always wanted to be a storyteller. So the original plan was to go into the military and then do that journalistic work there. As my father would have it, that was a no-go. So my father, he didn't want any parts of the military for me and so forth. And so I said, okay, fine, I'll go to college. But as soon as I'm old enough to support myself all on my own, I'm going to go into the military. And that's exactly what I did. So I actually went into the military a little bit later in life. If I recall, I must have been about 26 or 27. So it's not like I went straight in. I was a little bit older when I went into the military and had several years of broadcasting under my belt already when I went into the military. And I loved it. I did very, very well there. Served in Operation Iraqi Enduring Freedom and did 8 months in northern Iraq. And so I saw a little bit of combat action there, but I wouldn't trade any of it for anything.
Well, we thank you for your services. I really admire, my father was in the military. I have cousins, uncles, who served, and a lot of them are still serving. So I support the military hands down, and I really appreciate, you're just such an amazing woman of God. Some of the stuff that I read is not even nowhere near the things that you are doing or have done. Well, probably you have more in store, I'm pretty sure, but what really caught my attention, not just, you doing broadcasting and, media, but that you work with young women, young girls.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? Yes.
Sure. And I just want to express my gratitude for your family members that have served and are serving. So if you'll be so kind to pass that on, I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so I launched my foundation. There's two parts to my foundation, and both are geared toward the female. The name of the foundation is Vaulted the Lady General Foundation, and if you'll allow me to, I'll talk about those two pieces separately because it's important for everyone to know what I'm doing, because it's going to require an entire movement of people to help this thing go to where I'm taking it to. But the Lady General Foundation is basically, it was birthed out of my experiences throughout my life. My time in the military, my time at, being in very male-dominated career fields and being the only one of me there, being a double minority, being a black woman. So that's twofold there that I've had to deal with in a lot of environments where there just weren't a lot of people like me as far as race and gender. And I said that I needed younger girls to understand that being put in a box is unfair, and sometimes if you are put in a box based off of your race or gender, you don't find your true self, and you end up not reaching your full potential here on earth. And so I kind of took a lot of time, about 13 years, to develop this organization before I really launched it, because I needed it to be extremely practical, like a lot of fluff, if you will. I didn't want it to be a lot of hype man talk, a lot of just visionary talk. It was important for me to bring something to the light that actually was tangible, actual tools and techniques and tactics that could be applied in everyday life in order to plateau you in whatever industry that you were in. So it took me a little over a decade to actually launch, because it was very critical for me that I wasn't just putting something out and putting a stamp on it and it had no reach, had no leverage. And so my foundation puts on a summer camp every year for girls ages 9 through 17. They get 13 core curriculum classes that I develop myself. The courses are built around military strategies, but in a very civilian mannerism. So I take tactics that I know work because they've worked for the government, and I groom them and customize them so that they can be applied to everyday life. And they're foolproof. I'm very cocky, and I'm very cocky about that because I know it works, and I wouldn't implement something that I haven't tried and tested myself that has proven at 100% for me. And so, and throughout the year, I've partnered with a couple of the school districts across the nation, going in and doing summits, which are kind of like day camps, if you will. But the camp, my flagship program is the one that the girls come in, they stay for a full 2 days overnight in a camp, and they learn skills that you can't get anywhere else. And so I'm very, very proud of that. This year's camp is going to be July 27th through the 29th. It's going to be held in Dallas. And I just recently launched an entity of the Lady General Foundation in Zambia, Africa. So we're going to be traveling there in late August, early September, and putting on a summit there for about 300 to 400 girls around the same age group in the southern part of Africa. The vaulted part, I know, it's a lot. I'm so passionate about it.
I love it.
It's so important. Thank you. The vaulted part of my organization is for older women, and when I say older, don't necessarily mean elderly, just older than 17. And that part of it, it is a facility, actually a reformation house for women who suffered some sort of abuse. They my partnerships are going to be with public officials who work in the arenas of domestic violence or sexual assault. We'll receive referrals from them. We'll also receive referrals from battered women shelters. I don't like to call them battered women shelters. I call them bruised warrior shelters. but
Mhm.
just for the sake of what the majority of people recognize them as, battered women's shelters. But I do challenge everyone to change those terms. I've coined the phrase bruised warriors. And so I'll take referrals from those facilities, and I'll bring them to my Reformation House. It's a program that's very exclusive because, again, I don't like a lot of fluff and hype man talk. I like practical, tangible things. So I take in 6 women per year. We guarantee those 6 women high-level job positions by the time they come out of the Reformation House.
Awesome.
We guarantee them the ability to get transportation, housing, whatever it is that they may be lacking, whatever it is that they need in order to sustain themselves, to prevent them from going back into the abusive environment that they've come from. And so that's where the vaulted part comes from. So the foundation is vaulted, the Lady General Foundation.
That is amazing. I have, we talk about domestic violence, on my show, and being a voice is being a voice for everything. Domestic violence, suicide, rape, PTSD. We do it all on this show because I believe in, there's a lot of women who are dealing with that and continue to deal with that. They escape, and like you said, they do run back. Sometimes they run back because they feel like they don't, they're still dependent on that man doing everything, Oh, my gosh, you are so awesome. I told you was awesome, and I see why. The Holy Spirit has connected me to you because you are a powerful voice, and a lot of women, they need to see that, and they need to see that it's okay. It's okay, and to have things out here to implement to help these women to safety, and especially with children. A lot of these children that's going through all of this abuse, they need things like this, and hands down, I praise you for that. I thank you so much for that because a lot of people say, do this or do that, but they don't have the resources and see so much that you're doing. You have put time and effort into this. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever dealt with domestic violence?
I have.
Okay.
I've seen it up close and personal.
Okay.
And so I completely understand the plight. And most things that I attach myself to, I do have education, book education, the traditional type. But most of where my passion is and most of the things that I attach myself to are born out of my own personal experiences. So, yes.
Yes. Yes. Well, I thank you, and I'm glad that you are the woman that you are. I love you for that. Also, let's talk about you being the vice president of NAACP. Tell us about that. That's a powerful voice by itself, honey.
Yes. So, I've always had an activism spirit. And I knew that I needed to be involved because I was involved on my own, but I wanted to be a part of something that already existed because a lot of times when you go out on your own and you create something that's already standing, it can be counterproductive for the cause as a whole. So instead of doing that, I decided to get involved with my local chapter of the NAACP. And I have been very, very, very pleased with the work that I've been able to do there and the impact that I've been able to have. It's the most oldest trusted organization in the arena of social justice, economic equality. When there's a committee within the organization called WIN, which is Women in the NAACP. So it focuses on women issues. It just encompasses everything that I'm passionate about. So it only made sense for me to run for that office.
Right.
And so I was a member for a very short time before I went for a leadership role. And I went for it, and I won that seat. And I'm excited and grateful to hold that seat and hold that position. And it just amazes me every day how many people come to me needing help in one of those areas, whether it be, legal redress that they're needing, or if it's just awareness that they're needing, or educational equality that they're talking about within the city of Dallas. I've heard it all, and that just tells me that we need to continue to recruit individuals to do more work, because there's so much work to be done, and no one person or no one organization can do it alone. It's going to take organization and strategy in order to start drilling down at some of these issues that plague cities like Dallas and other metropolitan cities across the nation.
Yes. When it comes to NAACP, just hearing the word NAACP is so powerful by itself. And to have a woman like yourself, who is a powerful voice, sit in that seat as the vice president, your heart is so pure. You're so into what you're doing. And so I'm happy that you are serving for the people in Dallas. I have family in Dallas, Texas. And and then the way, like you said, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I hear about that all the time. And I just want to thank you for serving and doing the work that you're doing. You're just amazing. You're just very amazing to me. I'm just so honored right now talking to you. I'm serious because you're doing it all. And I stand all of that, your schooling, your background. Oh, let's talk about that. You hold many degrees, and you're still in school.
Still in school. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about you're in school now you're at Harvard University?
I'm at Harvard, yes.
Okay. And what are you studying now?
I am studying strategic management right now at Harvard. So I'm going more on the business side of things and trying to secure that business degree there with one of the best Ivy League schools on the planet. So it's been very challenging, but very rewarding at the same time. And at the end of the day, as women, we have to continue to reinvent and recreate and enhance and pour into ourselves so that we can establish a foothold across the nation in every industry, and so that we can actually, I tell people all the time, a lot of people always like to push diversity. But diversity is nothing without inclusion. And I find myself having to make that distinction on many platforms. And people was like, oh, but it's diverse because you're here. And I have to quickly stop them and say there's a difference between diversity and inclusion. Diversity is having a seat at the table. Inclusion is having a voice at the table. And they're not the same thing. And so, my decision to go back to school and go for this graduate degree in business and strategic management is mainly for that reason, to get more into the conglomerate side of things and on a global level, just learning ways and strategies, how to do business on that scale. And business can be anything. It can be entrepreneurship. It can be military. It can be corporate. It can be nonprofit sector. The basis and the premise is the same. It's the way you apply it that moves the needle. And so, that was the main reason for me going back to school, is to continue to grow and, so that I can be a bigger voice and create more jobs, because that's my number one hobby. I mean, I'm single, so, when I do decide to date, I am single. So when I do decide to date, I always get these types of questions and, just different things along those lines. And, it's a challenge, but we have to continue to grow, and we have to continue to pour into ourselves just to be a bigger asset. And, guys ask me all the time when I'm dating, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? And I say, create jobs. And sometimes I get, but it's the truth. Like, that's what I like to do for fun. Yeah, that's like what do you like to do for fun? I like to create jobs. I like to create opportunities for minorities. That's what I like to do. That's fun to me.
Yes, That's what I love about you. I'm telling you, it's like you're nonstop. It's like you don't even sleep. If people could really see your bio, they would be like, OMG, when does she have time for herself? You know?
I know.
That's why I say you just, hands down, I mean, when do you have time to date? Do you ever have time for yourself?
Okay, so, you about to get an exclusive, girl. You about to get an exclusive. So, I have been single since 2010. So what is that, 8 years?
Mhm.
So for 8 years, and so I just started dating someone.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. So you just got an exclusive. And you know what? And so he's a great guy. I want to say that we've been dating now for about 4.5, maybe 5 months.
Yay.
And I think he's a great guy. He's extremely intelligent and kind and respectful. And he also has a philanthropic spirit. So, of course, we share a lot of the same common goals.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very, very supportive, and he's a good friend. And so that's kind of where I am on that. But as far as having time, not so much. But right now, for us, it's working because he's actually currently living in London, working on a project. So,
oh wow.
So that kind of eases it a little bit because we're not even in the same country, let alone the same town. But so it's not as difficult right now. But I am actually dating someone. You're the first person that I've told that to. My girlfriends don't even know that. So.
Well, if they're listening, I'm sorry. She's gonna tell y'all more later. But I love it though. You know what? I think everybody deserves to be happy and have someone to share because you have so much going on for yourself. So having that right person to share it with, that right person to pray with, you know, especially when you feel overwhelmed. And it's nothing like having that man just grab your hand and say, baby, let me just pray over you.
Nothing like that.
Yes, people don't understand it. We as women, we need that. We really need that, especially, you know, a lot of the stuff that we're doing, you know, like myself, working full-time, writing plays, you know, doing books, you know, radio, and I got other stuff coming up. I mean, I love to write. So for me to know that you are a writer, I'm just like, yes, this girl is just
I didn't know that about you. That's good information. See, you have to tell me that sort of stuff. I just left a room full of writers for you know, I just got back from Boston because I had an in-person class at Harvard. And I just, you know, majority of my classmates were, you know, we had folks in there from Walt Disney and Sony Pictures and Netflix and all of these other things. You got to tell me this type of stuff. You know, I'm a networking queen.
Yes, I'm going to have to connect with you afterwards. OMG. And, you know, plays are my favorite. That's what I love writing and doing is plays. I said one day I pray and hope, you know, and God has shown me this, me traveling, doing my plays. And, you know, God will do what he says he's going to do. I mean, things are already opening up for me, you know, and when people that don't know you speak life into you and say, hey, I want you to do this, and I'm going to help you do that, I said, OMG, look at God.
Right,
you know?
Look at God.
All you have to do is
it's already spoken into existence, but we're going to reaffirm it right now in this moment. Lord,
yes.
I speak it in the name of Jesus. Let your will be done, and lead her, guide her, give her the understanding, the patience, and put her in the circles of people who are going to uplift her and not try to tear her down. Protect her on her journey, Lord Jesus. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Honey, thank you so much. I felt the anointing. See, look at you. Just a voice and everything. I just love you. I'm telling you, Casey, I do. I'm so honored to have you. I mean, I've had amazing guests, you know, Mr. Davenport. I've had Mr. Hubert Owens running for Congress, and Steve Robertson. He'll be on next week. Just amazing people. But you, as a woman, I love to see, especially African-American women, we get torn down so much. And you know, a lot of the things that we come up with, we don't get the recognition that we should get. And there's so much that I have learned within the past day. And I was at a meeting, and this one young lady said, and she didn't mean anything by it, but when I say it caught my attention, I had to speak up. But she said a lot of black women start things, but white women take the credit for it. And I looked at her. I raised my hand real quick. I said, the devil is a liar. Because if you know it's not yours, why would you go and take credit for something that is not yours?
That is not
so
yours.
I'm starting to pay attention to some things, and I'm just like, okay, I'm learning. God, yeah, you're showing me. So sometimes the Lord is like, sit still, be quiet, especially when he's showing you things. He just wants you to be quiet and sit still, because everybody could be doing the same thing, but yours is different, and it's different for a reason, So, but for me to have learned that, I was shocked. Casey, I was really shocked. So for me to see people like yourself and Oprah and all these powerful women and these actresses out here that are doing powerful things and being that powerful voice, it's not just for other people, it's for us. We are like, we get inspired by that, because we're like, if they could do it, we could do it,
Absolutely.
That don't necessarily mean I want to do everything that you're doing, because that's for you. That's your calling. But the walk that God wants to take me, I want to say, you know what, God, here I am. I'm standing in that gap for you. If this is where you want me to go, I'll go, and I just trust him. And that's just how I am, So I thank you so much for that. Now, media, I know, with journalism and everything, but you work at a TV station?
I do.
Okay, and I think that airs. What do you do there?
I am a director. So I'm an executive there. I'm director of technology and on-air ops. And so to break that down, how can I break that down? It's a convoluted job. I pretty much manage a group of individuals, and those individuals are subject matter experts in the arena of IT. They're subject matter experts in the arena of engineering. They are experts in the arena of production. So I manage technical directors and editors and graphic designers and engineers and IT professionals and operations managers and master control and production control people. So anything that is required to make TV happen, I oversee those folks. I oversee the facility. Yeah. Oversee the facility as well, and a bunch of paperwork, budget, different things of the sort. But I come from that world. I've been in television and broadcasting I just made my 22nd year.
Wow.
So it's been a couple of decades, so I've had a little bit of practice. But I love it. I've managed to take those skill sets and allow them to grow legs, as I like to call it. So my time spent as a journalist, my time spent as a show host, my time spent as a reporter, my time spent in newsrooms and control rooms, and all of these things have allowed me to create a second career, pretty much, and, teach these skills to professionals and politicians and teach these skills to, I've trained a couple of beauty pageant queens and, professional athletes. And I've also trained other entrepreneurs and business owners on how to deal with anything that relates to communication. And so I've managed to hone those skills over all of those years and turn them into something new. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. That's what I teach my girls at camp. The power of creating your own lane. And, no one can stop you from doing that. And I teach them that way of thinking. I tell them, if I teach you how to think, I never have to teach you a thing a day in your life. So it's not that I'm going in to teach them something specific, but if I can teach them a mindset, a way of thinking about things, a way of seeing things, they'll forever be able to create their own way.
Yes. That is awesome. Look at you. You have so many skills, and you still bring that military out in you. Excuse me. Everything that you do, I see that. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's in my bones.
Yes, I love it. Now I want to ask you, and I know you can't talk too much about the, all in the media about the R. Kelly. Can you elaborate anything, just anything that I know a lot of people, they're talking about things, with the R. Kelly, with his music and things that's going on with him and these young women. Can you elaborate at all on any of it?
I can to a certain degree, because I actually represent one of R. Kelly's most recent alleged victims. So there's only so much that I can say because there's a case that's ongoing. But if I had to say one thing and sum it up, is that, number one, as Black women, Black and brown girls, we are as valuable as any other being on this planet. That's number one. Number two, as a community and as a culture, we have got to stop passing out passes for people based on their socioeconomic strengths and their celebrityism. We've got to stop doing that. Our values should be non-negotiable at all times. It doesn't matter if the assailant or the alleged predator is your dad, your uncle, your brother, your aunt. It doesn't matter. We have got to stop turning a blind eye and giving these people passes for some of the egregious things that happen to Black and brown girls as a whole overall. More specifically, in reference to the R. Kelly case, since we took this case, I've grown a relationship with this young woman, and her number one message to me is that no more allowing ourselves to be devalued, no more allowing other people to devalue us. And she's very, very brave. And I tell her all the time, I tell her that I think she's braver than I ever was at 19, 20 years old, because I could only imagine how difficult it must be to completely expose yourself and vulnerabilize yourself on a stage, a national stage, for the greater good. And that's her reasoning for speaking out, is that she simply wants this to not happen to anyone else. And so I'm very, very honored to actually work with her and service her, because she's very close to a lot of the girls' ages that I mentor and that I train and that I see on a regular basis. And this could have easily been one of them. It could have easily been any one of us at that age. No one is exempt from having something awful happen to them. No one's exempt from that. And so it bothers me. It really actually upsets me when people are complicit in these type of behaviors. So we've got to start speaking up and speaking out, and it shouldn't matter who's on the other side of that, whether it be a R. Kelly or a Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby. That's irrelevant. Our value is non-negotiable.
Right. And you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. We appreciate you for, that's the reason why I said, I appreciate you as a woman, as a, African American woman, because, we go through a lot. And I'm not saying that every woman don't go through a lot, but, minorities have gone through a lot. And the women are just tired, and it bothers me, the fact that, these young girls, they're young, and how men can just manipulate them and feel like they can do whatever they want to. And a lot of these girls don't have fathers in their life. And I say this all the time to women. Pay attention to your daughters, because if you don't, and their father is not in their life, they're going to look for that in an older man. And a man knows how to manipulate these young women into thinking, I could do this for you, I could do that for you. I'm not saying that's the case with, their situation that you have going on, but I'm just saying in general, so much of that is going on today, and it bothers you. You see these little young girls, they're half naked out here. And I'm like, where is your parents? I go to my daughter's school, and the way these girls dress, they look like, and my daughter's she's about to be 15 years old, and I'm looking like, how old is that little girl? She's fully developed, dressed like she looks like she's 30-some years old, because their body is so developed, because they're so sexually active,
Right. And you know what? I mean, and this is where it gets really, it's a pivotal point for me in my mind, because as much as I use social media, not only for myself, but for my clients to do good things, there's also a really ugly side to it. And, when we did the R. Kelly press conference, and we first announced that we had filed charges with the Dallas Police Department in this particular case, I said it at that press conference. I said, the mere fact that you have a reality TV star with 200 million followers, and you have a United States African-American congresswoman with a quarter of that tells you something right there.
Yes, exactly.
So what's there, right. So that tells you something right there. So what appears to be more enticing and more popular is someone who is probably going to lead you down a mindset that this is life, whatever it is that they're promoting. Most of the time, it's like you said, it's nothing positive. Okay, it's nothing positive, and I think there's a huge injustice being done there with social media and how it influences younger girls. And while some people can sit back and, talk trash about, well, they know better, this and that, not exactly. Not exactly. If something is the norm to you, it's human behavior to adapt to that environment. Yeah, they know different if they see different. They know better if they've had better. But if what they see is being glorified and glorious, then how can it be wrong?
Right.
If they see an Amber Rose or a Black China or all these other ones that they like to follow, if you see them and it looks like they have everything you've ever wanted, because society has told you this is what life is, this is what you should want, the rapper boyfriend or whatever, the cars, the houses, but there's another way to that level of gratification if that's what you're after. And that's not shown enough. It's not shown enough in mainstream media. I can say that because I'm in it. It's not shown enough in mainstream media. It's not shown enough in social media. And when someone tries to display that, it's not as popular. So we've got to change. We need some of these bigger voices to rally around more positive images and push those to the forefront. So I can easily see how this string of events, and it's a vicious cycle because you have, younger moms now. So if the mom doesn't know better, how can she teach the daughter better? If she's born into that 21st century millennial environment and that's her truth, 9 times out of 10, the behavior is going to be passed on because that's your normal. That is normal for them. So, we have to show them something different. We have to show them something better. I didn't know that there was something better out there until I actually left the little town that I was from and traveled, and I saw other things. That's when it clicked for me. This isn't something I came up with. And this is something that is very important. If I can't just take a few minutes, because I think this is very important.
Yes, yes.
It's important that when young girls look at me, they need to understand where I came from. I did not come from a 2-parent home. That's for starters. And I did not come from an environment where I had a very conscientious mother who pushed me to do great things. Now, I didn't come from a mother that didn't do that, but I didn't come from one that did do it either. It was just kind of in the middle. So it wasn't as if, I had someone pouring into me. And as much as I would like to say, because I get the question a lot, who was your mentor? Who poured? I did not have one. Not at a young age, not in middle school, not in high school, not even in college. My mentors came to me for the first time when I was already a full-grown woman and I was in the military. That was the first time that I actually had any type of mentorship. So It's important, very, very important for me to let them know that this isn't something that greatness isn't always inherited. Sometimes it just flourishes by environments that you put yourself in and things you attach yourself to. So it's important for me to slow down and make that point known that I didn't come from a perfectly set up scenario. I had a child at 19 in my sophomore year of college. I didn't come from a perfectly laid out scenario and a perfectly put together family structure at all by any means. And so, with that being said, what shifted for me, the shift came once I actually saw different. Once I saw different and I knew better, I did better. And that's what I'm saying about these younger girls that just sit up and feed their minds with stuff on social media all day. That becomes their reality. So that becomes the goal. They lock in on that. This is the truth. This is everything I see around me. I see it at school. I see it in my neighborhood, and I see it on the computer. So you can't know better when it's your normal. So they don't see anything wrong with it until it's too late. So it's very important. I think the shift needs to happen culturally. As a culture, we have got to do better. That's me calling out all the large media companies, executive producers, anybody who has a platform that has the ability to feed something into somebody's subconscious or conscious in general, they're complicit. So we've got to do better, and we've got to quit selling ourselves for a buck.
Yes.
Because we're devaluing an entire race of people by doing that.
I'm clapping. I'm serious, hands down. You are absolutely right. I am clapping. And you know what makes it so bad, and I know we get close to time, and I know you have another engagement, but, when you are up there, when you are, whether you're a singer or a rapper or an actor, actress, people are going to look up to you, and it's sad because they don't have role models at home. So they look up to a lot of these celebrities as, I want to be like him, I want to be like her. And they don't even know really their lifestyle of what they did to get to where they are. And that's why the Bible says do not idolize celebrities, because if the Bible tells you that, God already knows what all of this, what's happening and what's going on. So I don't care who is up there, even all the way up to the President of the United States. Don't idolize anybody, because everybody has something that caused them to get to it. Now, let me rephrase that. Not everybody, but majority of those people did whatever they could to get to where they were and to stay there. And you have some that's just, hey, they could sing, someone found them, they didn't have to do this or do that. I mean, there's so many stories because, I used to deal with some people back in the day because, I'm from Virginia Beach, so I learned a lot about how a lot of this stuff goes. And I'm just like, wow, okay, who really wants to go up here and sing, and who really wants to be a rapper? If you really knew some of the stories, a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to be like her, or I don't want to be like him. But we're all held accountable, especially when we have other people looking at us as idols, and
Right.
we shouldn't idolize them. But, as a leader, you have to carry yourself a certain way. And so R. Kelly, he has messed himself up. He really has. And he still have a lot of these followers only because of who he is. There are a lot of people
Absolutely.
their mind isn't right anyway. So trying to follow somebody that's doing all of this stuff, some of those guys or some of those women don't see anything wrong with it. And I'm sorry that, these young ladies are going through what they're going through because they had no direction. They couldn't have had no direction. And all they saw was fame and money. And, and like I said, these men are great talkers. And because they're great talkers, a lot of these women and these young girls, they're so vulnerable. They're looking for love and attention. I cannot believe R. Kelly looked at me, or any celebrity. LL Cool J looked at me. Oh, my God. And they feel like, okay, it's me against all these other people. So they're going to do whatever they say because, like I said, they're vulnerable. So, I applaud you once again for stepping out there, helping these young women, and not just them, other women who are in these crises and they have no direction. Casey, I'm serious. I really, admire you for the work that you're doing and continue to do. Anything I could do to help, you just let me know. I'm serious. I'm only me. I'm only a voice, but you just never know.
I appreciate that.
Yes,
I
serious.
totally appreciate that.
Yes,
I do. And so we just gotta, and it takes a team. It takes a team to move a nation. And so, leadership is more than a title; it's a responsibility. And so, I think we all share in that responsibility to change the narrative of the way we're portrayed and the things that people, that gives people the comfortability to devalue us in any way as women. We've got to work really hard. It's an uphill battle, but I'm here for it all day. And so it's going to take, a team of very like-minded individuals to continue to have these sorts of conversations in order to get some type of a shift.
Yes. Thank you so much. I know it's getting close to time, and we appreciate you coming on, on the show here on Be a Voice. I really, really appreciate you. I'm just not going to sleep tonight because I'll be like, I talked to Casey. I'm so excited. No, because the things that you're doing is a lot of things that, when it comes to domestic violence and things like that, Casey, seriously, I take it very seriously. I went through the situations in my life, and that's what I wrote about. One of my books, I spoke with God, I walked with God, my life, speaking to God, talking to God, seeing angels, and, God is really ordering, my steps on a lot of the decisions and my movements that I'm doing. And so I really do, appreciate when I hear other women who are taking the effort to take their money to invest in women out here. I just applaud you. I'm just like, look, Lord, look at your servant. She's doing it for your people. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. And are there any closing remarks that you want to say to everyone before we leave?
No, I'd just like to encourage, first of all, thanks for having me again. Thanks, everyone, for listening. If it's okay with you, I'd like to tell folks how they can get in touch with me.
Yes,
if they
please.
want to volunteer or get involved with my foundation or learn more about it. I'm on all the social media channels. I'm on Facebook. My name is K, just the letter K, letter C, last name Fox. That is both my individual page and my public figure page. I am on Twitter at The Real Casey Fox, and I'm also on Instagram the same way. You can find me there on Instagram, too, if you look up Casey Fox. And so if there is anyone who is interested in sponsoring a young lady to attend the camp or volunteering or just wanting to get involved, just serve in any form or fashion, please send us a note on any of those channels, or you can reach out to me at my email address is kcfox@tlgunlocked.com.
Yes, I think I got that anyway. I was writing everything down just in case somebody's like, Marcella, do you have that information? Yes. I appreciate you so very much, Miss Fox. You are a blessing to each and every one of us. Thank you for being a powerful voice. Do not stop. And like I said, I mean it. Anything I could do, please reach out to me, but you'll be hearing from me anyway.
Likewise. Okay. Thank you again for having me.
Yes.
And I really appreciate that. God bless.
And bless you too. And you have a blessed night, okay?
You too. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.